Shabbat Shalom. I invite everyone to please be seated as I have the incredible opportunity to interview this morning the world-famous Hazzan, David Propis.
That's how I wrote it.
And I say world-famous, I'm not actually kidding. He's got a tremendous number of CDs, both in his own name as well as from United Synagogue that he has produced. He travels literally across the world doing scholar residence and concert opportunities to really bring joy, to bring voice to so many of us and our people throughout the world. And so we're blessed to have him here as part of Congregation Shaarey Zedek. And so we thought we would take this opportunity on Shabbat Shirah, the Sabbath of Song, to have an opportunity for an Ark-side chant, our first Ark-side chant. So, Hazzan Propis.
Right, that's Starr.
In Psalm 96 and Psalm 98, we read actually multiple times. It says, "Sing to the Lord a new song." What does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity. It speaks to me greatly. It really means that we always have to renew ourselves, to renew our pledge to understand the beauty of God, the grandeur of God, the gifts that He has given us, especially the gifts of song. In the Psalms, we say, "Shir L'Adonai Shir Chadash," sing to the Lord a new song. We are actually commanded to sing. We are commanded to rejoice. We're commanded to be joyful. And especially this Shabbat, Shabbat Shirah, when we are witnessing the miracle of crossing of the Red Sea in safety, what's the first thing that happens? We break out into song and in joy and in dance. So we are following God's commandments.
Now, I know that so much of where we are today in terms of Jewish music and really the American Jewish music scene is because in each generation before us, people have really taken that commandment to sing a new song to God quite literally. How did we get to where we are today in terms of the American Jewish music scene?
Well, we are an immigrant people. We have been traveling throughout the world, and every community we have gone to, we have helped that community and enriched the communities we've been in, especially in arts, in culture, in commerce, in thought. So just using the American Jewish immigrant experience is only one facet in the true gem of what is truly Jewish music. There are many composers that have been very famous and basically created what we had as Tin Pan Alley, which turned into Broadway. People like George and Ira Gershwin. It's interesting when I bring up Gershwin, we just witnessed a little piece of possibly George's memory when he wrote It Ain't Necessarily So, which was in the show Showboat. And everybody knows the melody, it ain't necessarily so. But just using a little change of a sharp and a flat here, you have Baruch et Adonai Hamorah. So you can tell where it came from. And then you have one of the most prolific of our Jewish composers, Jewish American composers, Irving Berlin, which actually was not his real name. He changed it so he could feel the assimilation into America. His real name was Yossi Beilin, who was the son of cantor Chaim Beilin in Europe. And it's a corollary that we've noticed that many children, and especially sons of cantors, had gone on to be great composers.
So now I know too, as we were talking and as Hazzan was educating me this week, is American Jewish music scene. I know often too, in just a regular secular song, sometimes because of a Jewish composer's background, whether that's immigrant or simply his Judaism, he infuses a very Jewish theme into his music. So you may remember the one that I'm thinking of, but I'm wondering if you could let us know, we'll call you the Wizard, and perhaps you can educate us on that one.
It's funny you should mention the Wizard, because the song Over the Rainbow had been basically nominated as the quintessential American tune, and it has very deep Jewish roots. It was written by Harold Arlen, was also a son of a cantor. We at the Cantors Assembly had many opportunities to actually have Harold Arlen come and lecture us, and he basically gave us insights that if you really think of the words of somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. So what land do you think he was really talking about? Was he talking about America? Or are they really talking about the dream that really does come true of creating and reinventing the land of Israel? And when his parents, who came from Auschwitz, were persecuted and survived the Shoah, there were many souls that were dreaming of that land that they could be free. And who is to say, was it Israel, was it America, was this dreamlike ideal? But we still think of Israel as a land of milk and honey, and where dreams really do come true.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot for a moment. I know you talked about how these children of cantors have used both their background and their Americanism or their American identity to create this Shir Chadash, to create this new song. If I can put you on the spot, you're the son of a cantor, doing amazing things in America with Jewish music. What does it mean to you, and how has your background? I'll note, of course, this past week we commemorated the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. And all of your clergy right now, all of us are descended from Holocaust survivors. So I'm just wondering what that means to you, and how has that influenced your music?
Great. I do feel we all have been given gifts. The gift that I've been given, I want to share it. It was taught to me by my father, blessed memory, that when we have gifts that God gave us, we must share it with everyone. Is it just for the Jewish people, or is it even for the world at large? We don't know, but it is totally up to us to recognize the gifts that we all have and share them. As a son of a Hazzan, as well as a Holocaust survivor, I remember my mother was very much in favor of me continuing, but not in the way that European cantors continue to become a cantor. She wanted me to make a difference in America, and that's why I took it very seriously and wanted to serve not only my community and my congregation and the city that I lived in, but Am Yisrael and the greater community at large, to nurture the cantor. One fact that we may not know, that we lost over 6 million Jews. But out of the 6 million, there were 1,300 cantors that were slaughtered. And we've had 70 years, and we haven't replenished the 1,300 cantors that we lost. So if I've dedicated my life to perpetuating Chazanut, to educating people on the beauty of music, of Jewish music, and Chazanut, I hope I'm doing just that.
I know when we look at the great Jewish American musicians of today, whether it's the Debbie Friedman, the Rick Recht, or any of the cantors, like you said, who make Chazanut so special, or even if we look even at the other side of the spectrum, Neil Diamond, Barbra Streisand, Adam Sandler, some of the world's greatest American Jewish musicians, we know that they have their roots really in that first part of the 20th century, immigration, like you talked about being children of cantors and how they brought their Jewish neshamas to their American music, but also how they brought some of their American music and their American identity to Judaism and to some of the liturgical pieces we're familiar with. I'm wondering if you would be willing to sing for us, perhaps, one of those liturgical pieces.
I would love to. Before we do, I do want to make mention that Shaarey Zedek has truly been blessed by having great clergy, great rabbis, and great chazanim. My predecessor, Meir Finkelstein, I still say to this day, is one of the most prolific American Jewish composers that have written music specifically for the synagogue, which is not common practice in Jewish composers. So I do want to give a shout out to Meir and thank him for all the compositions he has written for the synagogue. What I'd like to do is give you an example of a very famous composer that composed symphonies, was persecuted really in Germany and left Germany in the early 30s to come to America and wrote a very famous show called Threepenny Opera. In it, I think you know one song. It's called Mac the Knife.
I don't know it. Maybe I'll sing the bar part.
I won't do Mac the Knife, but I'm talking about the composer Kurt Weill. And the DSO was here last year, and they had performed some of his symphonic works, but never mentioned the fact that, number one, he was also a son of a cantor, and number two, he was commissioned by the Park Avenue Synagogue, Cantor David Putterman of the Park Avenue Synagogue, to write for the American Synagogue. And he did so hesitantly. But he did produce this Kiddush that I'd like to have the choir join me on. And remember, this was written back in the 40s, where you have Gershwin writing An American in Paris, you have Rhapsody in Blue, and you have those jazz motifs that really painted the great white way of American music. So here's Kurt Weill's Kiddush.
Anuki